Today, as any day, there can be stress, there can be anxiety, there can be fear because we're living creatures and we go through life. We know those feelings personally, we know them as a family, we even know them as a group of people. And more recently, we know it as a global community. How do you not let those emotions hold you down and have the upper hand? That's the topic we're exploring today. I'm Susan. Welcome to the Rags Down Sailor channel, and I am joined by two friends, and we're just going to look at how do you stay sane and maintain your mojo, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Aleta Terry. I currently work with NAZA, the Nashville After Zone Alliance, and I do capacity building and professional development work. A little bit more on the personal side, I've been in the arts. I'm a poetry, spoken word poet, lots of things, but that's me in a nutshell, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Susan.
And hi, I'm Ed. I am a puppeteer. I am a performer. I am a former homeschool dad and things like that. And for some reason, Susan keeps asking me back to these things. She hasn't learned her lesson yet, but she still asks me back, so I appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad to have both of you guys here today, especially as we talk about how do we stay sane, how do we feed ourselves. And so I kind of want to start right now. If you're on social media or in the news for any length of time, you see a lot of stuff that's just kind of crazy. So what's the one thing you want to tell people from your gut? What do you want to tell them? What do you want them to know about how to deal with what's going on today?
For me, I can only speak to the things that have helped me, and it boils down to two things. First of all, routine. Get together a routine. We hear a lot of things online, people saying, oh, I'm staying in my sweatpants, or I'm, not getting up till 10:30 and things like that. And I think that's fine. I think you need to give yourself a little space to sort of take some time to yourself and to have some relaxation time. But if you really want to stay sane, if you want to continue to keep your mojo going, you need to have a routine. Now that routine may be get up at 8 o'clock. It may be get up at 10 o'clock. It may be get up at 5 o'clock, whatever works best for you. But I know for me, I have to have a routine. So I'll get up, I'll do my morning things. I have a certain morning ritual that I go through where I do some meditation and I do some reading and things like that to get ready for the day. And then, just have your routine at the evening to sort of wind down and get ready to close out the day and go to bed. So I think routine is paramount. Get yourself a routine. There's so much right now we can't control, but you can control your routine. And I think that structure and that amount of control is extremely comforting for everybody. It's something you can actually control and you can set the parameters on that. Second thing is self-care. Find what is self-care for you, whether that is a warm bath, whether that is a cupcake at the end of the day. Maybe not every day, but something that's a treat for yourself. Or for me, and this sounds kind of odd, but in the morning, I have this whole grooming ritual I do where I do beard oil and I do comb my hair and I have like cream and I know it sounds very manly and butch all of a sudden, but whole thing that I do to sort of get ready for the day and it's part of my routine, but it's also some self-care. And I think routine and self-care are the main things that I do that help me continue and have some sense of normalcy and help me mitigate the stress that's going to happen even when you're not in a event like this. It's just a way to mitigate all that stresses that you're going to have on the day anyway, because they're going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would echo the routine is really important. Just for myself in terms of having that sense of purpose or intentionality, like something's going to happen today. Having this expectancy in preparing yourself for the day, just being intentional about that. But I would say my number one is being able to consciously set boundaries and filter out a lot of negative reports. So the constant news and social media, I'm wired in such a way where I can't have a lot of sounds around me at one time. So maybe it's just a natural inclination of how I'm built. But like, I really do have to filter out what I'm perceiving, what I'm hearing, or what I'm seeing. And I think that allows me to listen into that little voice inside of me, as opposed to this narrative that's constantly going, constantly, because I'm going to hear about it when I talk to my family members. And sometimes I have to filter them out, where I'm like, you know what? And I think that I really do have to be protective of that. And I've always been protective of that from a very young age. My mom and dad could attest to that as well. But yeah, really filtering what we expose ourselves to and what we're perceiving with our senses is number one for me. And then, I mean, routine is up there, but since you mentioned it, I would say just being able to get outside, and being outside, like, just, again, what is it that you're seeing? What is it that you're experiencing when you're outside? There's that level of stillness, that level of calm. Like, even in the storm, there's certain things that are still grounded and still planted. And so I feel like for me personally, that helps to kind of center me as well. And now that, I'm blessed to be able to work from home, I find myself going outside a lot, like starting a garden, but that just kind of helps to silence all of this noise and the negative reports that have been going out. So yeah, keeps me uplifted.
One of the things that I've been fortunate enough to be able to read and be a part of during the last few weeks, and this had nothing to do with us all being forced to stay home. It was the book that some friends and I chose as the book we wanted to, like a book club we wanted to work through together. And it's called, I'm not going to remember the author, but it's Spiritual Literacy. And the two chapters that we started out with were things and place. And it's perfect timing for right now to think about in your home, in the space that is your home and the things that are in your home, how you can engage with it and make it sacred and create just sort of a spiritual connection and appreciation. So, this mug was a gift to me from a friend, and this happened to be a reject by the potter who made it. But every time, I know, I have no idea why this is a reject, but every time I'm holding this cup, I can take a moment and be grateful for the cup and the friend that I got it from and all the memories associated with it and how happy it makes me, and be thankful that this is a part of my daily routine. And same thing that, the spaces, when you look around your home, since we're having to spend so much time there, why not connect with it in a good way? And, be grateful for this laptop that allows me to connect with you guys and the work that's done, and this dining room table that it's on, and the gift it was from someone, and just, embedding it with good energy, which is actually leading to the next thing I'm going to ask you guys. If fear and anxiety and stress are the words that are uppermost in people's minds, those are energy sucking words. They're low energy words. There are higher energy words we want. And I just use the word sacred to kind of help ground me in my home. What are the words that are high for you right now, that name that higher energy that you're trying to fuel and feed, and that it's helping maintain you? Or maybe it's your word overall that really fuels you.
I think, and this is something I've been actually working on before this all happened, but I think a big word for me has been gratitude. And I think right now we have a lot, even though things are so chaotic and things are so unsure, I think we still have a lot to be grateful for. There's no, in some weird way, there's no better time in the history of mankind to have to shelter at home. I mean, we're still connected. I can still see you guys. I can still talk to you guys. I can talk to my friends all over the world because of the technology we have. So that's something that I'm extremely grateful for. Right now, I live in a pretty comfortable home. Not the fanciest, but it's still a very comfortable home. It keeps me out of the elements, and I'm very grateful for that. We have access to plenty of food. I'm not going hungry, so I'm very grateful for that. I can still go outside, which, and walk around, which I'm very grateful for that. So a lot of gratitude. I think it's easy, especially when things are so chaotic and there's so much out of our control, to focus on the fear and the anxiety and the things that we can't control. But I think there's a lot of stuff we can control. And I think finding the gratitude for those things is a big offset for a lot of the negative feelings that people are feeling, right now.
I view this time as a tremendous opportunity, an opportunity to just take inventory, to just stop functioning in automatic. So I feel like it's this natural, like when you breathe like in and then when you breathe out and then you have that pause before you take the second breath. I feel like this is just an extended pause. And so I use it for, I would say reflection is huge for me during this time, and reorientation, because a lot of the things that I would do, those perfunctory things that you would just do out of habit, like the routines are good. I'm not talking about the routines and those things, but I'm talking about just like that survival mode that we get in when we're going from one thing to the next thing, and that energy, like it's, I can release it. Like I don't have to carry it the same way. And I feel like this period of time, this space of time is where I'm like, yeah, why do I do that? You know what I mean? Like when I get up in the morning, I still might get up at a certain time, but I don't have that that tension and that rushing, like, oh, I got to do this. It's kind of like, yeah, I can get up and I can actually take 15 minutes to stretch, or stretch a little bit longer, or listen to music, or, do something a little bit different. So I do view it as, even though there's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety during this time, I think of it as a good opportunity to reorient yourself and figure out what's important out of the things that I'm doing, or how do I bring meaning back into those things so I can enjoy it a little bit more, right? I enjoy my work a little bit more because have this environment and I can set up my space in a certain way.
So
and like it brings a certain enjoyment. Mm-hmm.
So do you think that's your natural inclination to say, because you are reflective, to say, oh, let's go deeper? Or is there anything in particular from other forces that are moving you that way? Because I agree with you that this is a great time for people to check in. What's important? What are the values? Am I living and responding from the person I want to be? But I don't think a lot of people take that step. So how do we help them take that step, or what helped you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, my faith is a grounding factor. And I mean, I think of, this whole valley of dry bones where it's like you look out and you just see so much hurt, so much angst, so much anxiety. But knowing that there is a God who can breathe life into those things and can animate those things. And that's why I tend to, again, blocking out a lot of things, but I guess now it's more of a habit, but at some point it was like I was consciously choosing to like shift my attention and shift my focus on what's life-giving, as opposed to that what's trying to suck life out, and knowing when it's happening within me. And I'm evolving like every minute. Sometimes are better than others, right? But yeah, I think for me that's my root, that's my grounding force, and that helps to steady me during this time in particular.
And I think part of what you said earlier about being intentional is important as well, because let's just be honest, there's a lot of people who are struggling right now with good reason, and they have reason to struggle. There's a lot of stuff going on. I know a lot of people have posted how they're feeling anxious and they're feeling depressed, and time getting up, motivating themselves to do things. And I get that. And we don't want to diminish sort of the mental health aspect of what's happening now and then the long-term aspect of what will happen for everybody's mental health when this is sort of in our past. So yeah, that's a real thing. And, take care of yourself and sort of be aware of that. But it's easy to live in that. And so if you want to change that mindset, you do have to put a little intentionality into that. So you have to think, okay, I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling awful. I'm feeling anxious or depressed or whatever it is you're feeling. I'm feeling fearful. So now what can I do to flip that? And you have to be intentional about making that happen. It's not going to just happen. It's really easy to continue on in the depression. And again, I'm not trying to minimize that somebody's dealing with that. It's a real thing, and it's not just easy to snap yourself out of at all. But, you do have to be slightly intentional. What can I do today that'll make me feel a little better? Maybe it's going outside for 10 minutes. Maybe it's calling that friend. Maybe it's drinking out of my special cup. Maybe it's, I don't know, I do a facial. I do a mask tonight and watch 30 minutes of Golden Girls. Whatever it is that makes you feel better about the day, do that and you feel a little better. And tomorrow, maybe do the same thing and add one thing, just being intentional. You have to make it happen. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen. And when you first start out, it's something you have to consciously think about. It's not necessarily natural. It doesn't just happen. But the more you do it, the more familiar it becomes, the easier it becomes. Like anything else, lifting weights or math problems or anything else, the more you do it, the easier it's going to become. So yes, start small, and every day just build on it a little bit, and that'll help a lot, and that'll alleviate a lot of the tension, a lot of the stress I think people are feeling.
One of my favorite things that I've learned through DDPY, which is the workouts that I do, is in one of his he does Motivational Monday speeches. This is Diamond Dallas Page, and one of the things he shares is you should start every morning by just saying, "Great day, great day. It's going to be a great day." Verbalizing it, hearing it, owning it, claiming it, owning your own life. And it seems like such a simple thing, but it is a very powerful thing to use the words and say it out loud to set up. And you might have to keep doing it. And I think he even has a thing where he's like, you might be going, great day, because there are bad moments, but there don't have to be bad days.
Or you could do the SpongeBob SquarePants thing, get up and go, this is the best day ever. The first day when you get up, start it that way.
I think also knowing that, because it's not that I'm not susceptible to those emotions. I mean, I've got a lot of different hormones going on right now, but I think knowing that, allowing myself to feel that, and knowing that, my emotions are really like the weather. It's going to pass. Let me just have this rainy moment right now. And to be okay with the fact that it's a rainy moment. But it's not, like you said, Ed, being intentional. It's going to shift. It's going to change. Something else is going to come. Now I might have to wait for it for a little while, but it is going to pass. And knowing that.
So that's acceptance. And we are going to feel a lot of things. We're human. So we're going to be mad. We're going to be sad, all of that. But instead of fighting it and just adding to the stress by fighting it, accepting, allowing it, telling your sad part, it's going to be okay. Telling your angry part, it's okay. Let it go. I think that's part of it. We talked on the episode about homeschooling, about schedules. And the other half of Ragsdale and Sailor Channel, Anne, was talking about how she has these little Post-it notes up for what they have to do each day. So it's like, here's the math and here's your choices. But to get to this point, she had things like social. So when I think about self-care and maintaining sanity right now, it's like, what do I need to do socially each day? What do I need? What's my heart thing I need to do? What's the thing I need to do for my body? what's the thing that I need to do to fuel my intellect, my brain, and my creativity? So I try to think the wholeness of who I am. And that might be a way that people could start small. What are all the ways that I like to connect with others? And it could be, I'm just going to call this person and check in or whatever. Creative, here's the creative thing I'm going to do. But remembering all the things that they like in those different categories and having a list so that they have options.
Yeah, very smart.
Yeah.
And if I was going to put
I
it,
like that idea. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, if I was going to put it down to sort of concrete things, I would say, everybody meditate 10 minutes a day, early in the morning if you can, before you get too involved in your day. Exercise, even if it's a walk for 10 minutes outside, that'll help your mood, everything tremendously. And this is something I have to remind myself, but this is great for anybody. Talk to yourself like you would your best friend. Talk to yourself with all the love and acceptance you would your best friend if they were having a problem. If you're having a problem, don't beat yourself up. You try that, it doesn't work. So talk to yourself like you would somebody you really care about if they were having a bad day or a bad emotion or just having a rough time. Give yourself the same kind of pep talk. So.
Yeah, I love that in terms of talking to yourself as a best friend.
That is something I've had to work on a lot. It doesn't come naturally. You have to work on that.
Yeah. Well, I'm imagining too, like I don't know the extent of your work in puppetry, but like the talking, like that has a different characters.
Yeah, it means it different when I do it. When I talk to myself, it's really, hi, how are you? Yeah, it's a whole different thing when I do.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, for me, it's knowing that, like you said, allowing myself to be where I am and knowing that I'm not going to always be at this place, and being able to, when you talk about meditating, I think a very strong practice for me is writing things down. And I remember when I was in the classroom and I was teaching and I was having a rough go of it. Like it was hard. Okay. I like lost 10 pounds. It was just crazy. But like I would always come and write out the dynamic that I wanted to happen in my class. How I wanted the students to respond. Like what I wanted that relationship to be like. And oh my goodness, it eventually did come to pass in a very highly unlikely course of events. But it happened, and I was like, wow. So that practice of visualizing, whether you're speaking it out loud and not necessarily lying to yourself, but just trying to envision what's on the other side, right? That's been a practice that I've used for maybe since I started writing in high school, just kind of visualizing the kind of life I wanted, or just kind of the particular tone or energy or what. And I think it could be a daily practice as well, like down to what you want your day to be like.
Well, yeah, it's the law of attraction. You're visualizing, I want to feel this way, taking hands off of the circumstances or how things are going to go. This is the energy I want to have in the classroom with students. This is the relationship. This is that visualization is law of attraction, because you're putting it out there what you want, and it comes back. Yeah. Any last quick thoughts from either of you as time's winding down?
When you were talking, the one thing, I think it was either Voltaire, Marcus Aurelius, some really smart philosopher guy said, the only thing you have control over is your reaction to events. You can't control what happens. You can only control how you react to what happens. So just remember that. Things are going to happen. The only thing under your control is your reaction.
I just want to resonate. Like I agree, and that's something that I'm working on. I feel like this time has given me more personal time, like in my relationships, to really focus on that, because I sometimes find it's easier to react to strangers in that calm demeanor, but I may not necessarily act in the same calm response when something happens at home. So this is a time where I'm like, okay, wait, what is that about? And like a quote like that really helps to drive it home. Like, I don't have to respond this way. I don't. I can choose something different. I can choose another way to be. And that's something that is really powerful, because sometimes we get just so stuck in one way of being. It's like, I can choose something different. But then having the courage to do that is the next interview.
And it takes practice. It doesn't automatically happen. It takes ongoing practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I think the three of us could go on like for an hour just talking about this. We started, though, I used the word stress, fear, and anxiety, and over the course, we have worked our way into words like courage, gratitude, faith, grace, sacred, acceptance, nature, basically being well with yourself, which is what we want. I'm appreciative that you two joined me, and I want those of you who are watching this to post in the comments, what's helping you thrive? What are your tips for sanity? Please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us, it helps the channel, and share this. We want everyone to be well, and we're sharing from our practices. So thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you, Susan. Always a pleasure.
I'm a